Hello, friends. I have gone longer than intended without posting a video, and the longer I go now without posting one, the more daunting it becomes because I have not been posting videos, but I have been reading a lot, and catching you up on all of the books that I've been reading feels like too much. So what I want to do is just tackle the highlights, the highs and the lows. And so I was thinking that to do that, to dip my toes back into making videos, I'm going to tackle that with the help of the quarter year crisis book tag. Even though we are way past the first quarter mark at this point, I think we can give it a go. The questions apply. And so this is a list of 10 questions. The first question is, how many books have you read so far this year? And as I alluded to, I am reading more than ever so far this year. I have read 40 books as of today, which is a 100 books in 1 year reading pace. Last year, I read 87 books, so we're tracking upwards. Part of it is just that the habit is really rolling now. I just always have a book ready. I always have something on hand, and I have so many books that I want to read that when I finish one book, I already know exactly what the next book I want to read is. It might not last forever, but I'm reading a lot now for me. The second question is, have you already found a book that you think might be a favorite of the year? And the answer is yeah, probably. I checked just before this and I rated 9 out of the 40 books I've read so far this year 5 stars. I think that number is a little bit misleading because 2 of those were rereads of books that I had already previously given 5 stars, but that's still 7 new books that I would consider favorites. The Daughter of the Forest is probably what I would call my absolute favorite so far this year. And I did talk about that in my fantasy book bingo vlog earlier this year if you want to hear me rave about that book. I also more recently really enjoyed The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. That book had been all over the best of the year lists last year, and it was longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction. And it's an epistolary novel about a prickly old woman who corresponds with family and friends and authors and other public figures, primarily in letters. I just thought it was really well conceived and written in a very satisfying way. With epistolary novels, I often get stuck in questioning the realism of it. Like, what kind of person would be writing all of this down right now? But I thought The Correspondent did a good job of showing the kind of person that would write all of this down. And also, the author used the gaps in what would not get written down uh, in a way, the gaps were made things interesting. And I liked that. The third question is, do you have any 1 star books or least favorites of the year? Yeah, my least favorite book of the year so far would be, I gave it 2 stars. It would be The Unveiling by Quan Berry. It's about a young Black woman who is on an Antarctic cruise, and when she goes on a kayaking excursion, she and a group of other survivors are stranded on this remote Antarctic island. I thought it was interesting. It did well with the atmospheric setup describing the isolation and the harshness of Antarctica. But for me, and I don't read a ton of horror, for me, I just thought like it was trying to pack too many different horror tropes and too many different threads into one book, and none of them felt particularly well executed. I think if it had just focused itself a little bit more, maybe I would have liked it better, but it was kind of confusing with how much stuff was going on. The fourth question is, what's your most read genre so far? And according to Storygraph, my most read genre so far is literary fiction, followed by fantasy, followed by historical. Those are the top 3 I would expect, especially because a lot of my reading in the first quarter of the year was around reading the Tournament of Books shortlist, which is primarily literary fiction. But I would say that my 5 stars so far this year have mostly been in fantasy. So that's interesting to think about. The fifth question is a book that surprised you. I don't know why I continue to be surprised when I enjoy reading a classic or a poetry book. Last month, I read The Great Gatsby for the first time in my life, since I somehow managed to never be assigned it in school. First of all, I didn't realize, I don't think, how short it was. I read it in 2 days, and I could have read it in one if I was motivated to. And it being so short was nice because it's just so tightly composed. I love economical writing. I love writing where the way something is said is just as revealing as what is said. And that's a really good book for that. The sixth question is, what is a book that already came out this year that you want to read but haven't yet? I have a few, but I have had Seasons of Glass and Iron by Amal El-Matar on hold at my library since it came out at the end of March. It's a short story collection, and I like how imaginative and evocative her writing style was in The River Has Roots and in This Is How You Lose the Time War. So I think I'm probably going to like this one too. I'm just waiting to get it. I'm just waiting to get it since I mostly read library books at this point. The seventh question is, one goal you made that you're succeeding at. Well, my overall reading goal was to read 60 books this year, so I'm smashing that one right now. I think we will safely get to 60 before the end of the year. One of my other goals was to reread 4 books this year, because rereading is like not something I've historically prioritized a lot, but I do think it's fun to go back and revisit something you loved in the past and see how you've changed as a reader and what stands out to you differently now. And I have reread 3 books already so far this year. I reread Long Live Evil as part of a buddy read. I reread The Black Tongue Thief as part of Charlie's book club on Fable. And I reread Guards as the latest stop on my personal project to read Discworld in chronological order. The 8th question is, what is one goal you made you need to focus on? I made a goal to read 20 books published in 2026, and I've only read 2 books published in 2026 so far. I read Vigil by George Saunders, and I read The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan. I think so far I've more so been catching up on 2025 releases, but I think I'll naturally start reading more 2026 releases in the second half of the year. But something I do need to do focused attention on in the second half of the year. The 9th question is, what is a book you loved that wasn't quite 5 stars? I like this question. I'm actually going to talk about Vigil by George Saunders again, actually. When I first read it, and this was the very first book I finished in January, and I rated it 4 stars, but it has lingered in my mind enough that I think I might need to bump it up to 5. It is a book about a spirit named Jill who provides comfort to people that are on the cusp of death, but her charge in this case is an oil tycoon, and there are some other spirits who think maybe he doesn't deserve to be comfortable, that he should repent for things he's done. And I thought it raised interesting philosophical questions about culpability in a very funny and surreal and provocative way. And I just keep thinking about it. And the final question is, are there any new to you booktubers you would recommend? And I'm afraid in this period where I haven't found time to create videos, I have not been keeping up very well with watching booktube videos either. So I'm sorry if I haven't been watching or commenting as much as I would like to. But one creator who's not so new to me, but I want to shout out, I have enjoyed watching recently Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe. I love that she reads really eclectically, and she always gives great thoughts on what she's reading. And that is the tag. I'm hoping I won't go quite so long before posting my next video. I kept this really brief because I am like really intimidated by how little time I have lately and how long it will take me to record and edit. And so hopefully this will be really snappy, and I can just get back into the habit. But do expect my videos to be sporadic for the foreseeable future. I'm in a really busy period at work, and I actually have a surgery coming up at the end of the month that it's an elective surgery, it should be no problem at all, but I probably won't be interested in making videos in the couple weeks after I have that surgery. So, um, I have video ideas. I am going to be doing the 2026 fantasy book bingo challenge, and I want to talk about that. I also have a Father's Day video I would like to do in June. So things are coming. They just might be like a little sporadic. So thank you for watching, and please let me know how your reading has been going in the comments. I miss talking to you all in the comments, and that's why I'm here. Bye.